All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. On today's episode, something that's becoming a yearly thing that we do here on the podcast. We take a look at the individual records for the Avalanche, and heading into this season with this team, with these players, is there any of them that could be broken by the end of the season? We'll break it all down. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Locked On Avalanche. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, go to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. All right, man. And make sure to subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. When you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. A lot to get to today, sir. We just have 3 bullet points over there, but there's a lot of context within those 3 bullet points. We are going to get to, it says feeding the Twitter trolls. That kind of goes hand in hand with the second bullet point there, which is our D-men poll. We did one over at Locked On, and then there's one that the NHL did. And it's kind of funny. We don't do this a lot, but hey, it's the off season. Why not poke fun? We'll do that in a little bit, but we're going to jump right into our main topic today. And that is, like I said, on the top is Avalanche records, even Nordique records. This goes back to as an entire franchise. We did this last year, kind of picking out the big ones. And is there a possibility of any of these getting broken? So give me your overall thought of this team, because we know that they have a good team, and when you have your mainstays, like those are the guys that you're going to focus on. Like, yeah, these guys can break these records, have potential to. Or do you feel like, this is going to be a year not really for the record books, still an overall good team?
See, and it's one of those that when you encompass the whole history of the Colorado Avalanche, this is 44 years of history we're looking at here. This is Nordiques and Colorado Avalanche history. And if you like to think, is it even possible for this team to touch those records? Like everybody likes to think of your Sakic Forsberg Waz and think, oh, those records are untouchable. And then like the old school, when you incorporate the Nordiques, you're always like the Stasnys, Goulet. There's no way. But not so fast,
that
my
rhymed.
friend. I need to get into rapping. But no, when you look at the top 10s in individual season productions, there's some very recent records.
Yeah. Well, or very close to records.
Very, very close, right, that you're hitting the top 10 of the untouchables.
Right.
So we've talked at length. All the everydayers know what this team is going to kind of look like going into next year with Ryjo, Miles Wood, Ross Colton. Could this propel like your Mikkos, your Nathan McKinnons, your Cale Makars,
right,
to touching the number 1 spot?
Well, let's talk about it. Let's start with the big ones: goals, assists, and points. We'll start with goals, and Michel Goulet does hold that record. He holds the top 3 actually. The record's 57. He's got 56 at number 2. And he's got 55 at number 3, which was tied last year by Mikko Rantanen with 55. So, and nobody before Mikko last year, Hayduk was the closest in 22 or 02-03 with fit. So like, this isn't something that really gets, you don't have a guy challenging it all that much, but because Mikko did last year, could it happen? Could it be him again? Could it be obviously Nathan McKinnon? Those are the kind of the 2 guys that you look at. And 57 is the number, and Mikko did it 55 healthy. And the year he had a phenomenal year, he still didn't touch it. But like you said, you get some new guys in there that maybe that they benefit from those guys. Is this one that can be caught?
When you see Mikko sitting at third, just 2 goals away from that number 1 spot, you have to, you'd be a fool to say Mikko can't flirt with that again. But then Nathan MacKinnon's also on this team. And when he sees that, he says, oh, I could do that too. And you kind of want to,
it's like
you
a
want
Sammy
this
Sosa, Mark McGuire
kind of thing. Like you think they're going to compete going into next year, like in training camp in the locker room and kind of getting ready for the season. Mikko and Nate are talking back and forth and chirping, and Mikko throws out, hey, I almost had that number 1 spot. And Nathan's thinking about it. He's like, okay, let me see if I can up the game. Because I remember at the beginning of last year, there was a lot of Nathan MacKinnon assists. And we talked about, is this new Nathan MacKinnon just an assist guy? Is this where we're getting his points now? So I'm very curious. I do think this might be another Mikko flirting with that 57.
Well, Mikko, like I said, getting that fully healthy while the rest of the team was not, it just makes the 55 even all that more impressive. So if they can get a good run going on the power play, if they can stay healthy, those two guys just feed off each other. And yeah, if Nathan MacKinnon was fully healthy, no, he missed a ton of games, but he missed enough games where if he was healthy all season, that's probably broken by Mikko Rantanen, because that we're talking about the new guys that they brought in. Forget about them. Just if you got Nathan MacKinnon on the ice, especially for all those power plays that he wasn't a part of with the games he missed, that very well could get broken again. But you're right. I think that they will play, because Nathan MacKinnon is not anywhere on here in the top 10.
Nope.
I think he wants to change that.
Yes, he does.
I think he wants to change that. So you could see a fun game of cat and mouse between them this year. It'd be fun to watch. As far as assists go, Peter Stastny is the record holder there with 93. Forsberg at second with 86. And then it's Stastny. It's basically the Stastny-Forsberg show here. With the most current member is Nathan MacKinnon, who last year had 69. So nice. I think this one is relatively safe. I don't see anybody, even though the assist machine that Nathan MacKinnon can be. That's a very high number for him to reach.
Well, if we're talking about Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen chasing that goal record, would you not see Cale Makar start flirting with that number as well?
No,
when it comes to the assists?
Not for a defenseman. I mean, he could get up there, but that is a sky-high number for a defenseman. Sky-high. It's so high for forward. That's lot of assists. So rarely as a defenseman you're leading assist getter on the team. He'll have a bunch, Cale Makar, but Nathan MacKinnon is typically your leader year in and year out in assists, and I think he will be again. And maybe he gets a little bit more than 69. I could see him being in the 70s. But I can't see him going more than 80.
Yeah, it's hard to see anybody touching 93 assists on this team because there's so much talent. It's not like a one-line show anymore in Colorado. So
that'd be tough. Well, I mean, and this kind of, these two combined obviously lead to the points, which is held by Stastny at 139. He also holds the second most at 124. Any current player on this top 10, Nathan MacKinnon last year is 111, is tied for 10th. And I think a lot of people are thinking like MacKinnon, a healthy MacKinnon should be, I want to say could be 120s.
Yes.
I think that's like his ceiling, really, right? I mean, sure, he could go on this incredible run, but I can't see him getting in the 130s. And to beat this, he's got to get 140 because the record's 139. So he's got to get 140. Another one that I think is just as good as he is, and as much as he puts up numbers, I just think this one is just too far out for anybody in the Avalanche right now. Oh, I can't. You gotta fix your mic. I'm just going down the rest of the list here. Joe Sakic, his highest was 120. And we all love Joe Sakic, right? So could he be? Look at that. Say that for Nathan McKinnon. Hey, you get 121, you just beat Joe Sakic. So and that's good enough record.
And I think that's where that will peak. 120 is about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't see 130s, 140. No,
Man.
Not today's NHL.
Yeah, it's tough. Very few people can do that. Let's see. Let's get about well, we'll bring up plus minus because Devon Toews seems to be a plus minus machine. And I know this is a stat that not a lot of people like, but it's tracked. So we'll talk about it. It is a record for there's at least one guy in every team who holds this record, and it's Michel Goulet at plus 62. Toews last year, 2 years ago, the Stanley Cup winning team was plus 52. Last year, he was plus 39. So he's got a knack of being on the ice when a goal is scored. The one from the 52, it was 10 away from the record, which that's tied for second. Two other guys, Peter Forsberg and Milan Hajduk, both had plus 52 in a year. And Forsberg and Hajduk did it in the same year. They were both plus 52 in the same year. Crazy. So another one that is going to be very tough to pass. And it's so tough to predict this one because you just, Toews is good, but can you expect him to be to top 52 plus 52? It's tough to say that he could.
As long as he puts skates on the ice and a stick on the ice, if he's on line one, and we just talked about Mikko and Kale and Nate, you're going to get 40 just by showing up to the rink.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And he does a lot of that because Toews is usually, the second power play guy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they don't count plus minus on, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like for goals like I said, he has a knack for plus minus or being on the ice when goals are scored. Sometimes when you are on that first power play unit and a goal is scored, that kind of carries over into the 5-on-5 just because you got like all the juices going and everything.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just going to be just one of those that just seems a little bit insurmountable for anybody on the team, including him. So that's 4 of them out of the way. We got another 4 or 5 that we wanted to get to. So we'll do that here in a second. But first, we're going to talk about AG1. And this is something that Kyle and I have been taking pretty much every day for months now. It's the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. The best thing about it is you can fit it into your daily routine whenever you want. If you, like I do, get up in the morning, make it part of your morning routine. If at lunch, if you're not a breakfast person, you can do it at lunch or even at the end of the day to end your day. You can implement it any way you want, any way you see fit. You can throw it into your daily routine if you're experiencing some gut and nutritional health problems. And it's a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers comprehensive nutrients to support whole body health. It replaces your multivitamin, probiotic, and more in one simple drinkable habit and is raising the standard for quality in the supplement category. It's a comprehensive solution. If that's what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to drinkag1, that's AG the number 1.com/NHL network. Once again, drinkag1.com/NHL network. Check it out. Your gut will thank you later. All right. Some other records within the Avalanche /Nordiques franchise that we are going to get to here. One is shorthanded goals. I like bringing this one up just because whenever they're scored, they're fun. And why is that? Because they don't happen very often. And you can see that in the record for the Avalanche. 3 guys, Joe Sakic, Goulet is there again, and Scott Young all have 6. Sakic did it again. He had 5. JT Compher is the most recent. Well, there's a bunch of guys with 3. So JT Compher's got 3. Landeskog's got 3. Who else?
Matt Calvert.
Where's he? Am I not seeing him? Oh,
Matt
yeah,
Calvert.
there he is. Matt Calvert. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So really, man, and we always talk about Logan O'Connor. Maybe did they just run out of room here? Because there's a ton of guys with 3. I thought he had 3 last year or the year before. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But you bring that up because he is the guy that I would think could get up there. 6, that's asking a lot. I don't think he can get 6. Should he have 3? Yeah. Could he have an outside chance at 4? Sure. Why not?
Especially if with as comfortable as he gets with the team, like you kind of think he would assume that as his role.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something you expect out of LOC. And 4 is not out of the realm of possibility.
No. Because I feel like he had a couple early on, either last year or the year before, and then just I don't want to say it was a dry spell. It's just tough to get. So it's not, you can't say like, oh, he hasn't had a shorthanded goal in 5 games. What's wrong? No, that's not how it works. But he's capable. He's capable of getting on this list and maybe even getting into the number 5 spot, tied with Forsberg, Goulet, and Matt Sundin. So that'd be some pretty good company that he'd be with if he can get 4.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of like hitting a grand slam. Everything's going to line up just right.
Hat tricks. You have your record is Peter Stasny, and I cannot pronounce his last name. Miroslav Frisier. Don't know. It's from 81. That's when I was born. That's the year I was born, 81, 82. So forgive me if I'm not familiar with how to pronounce his last name. They both had 4. Last year, Mikko Rantanen had 3. So with the firepower that this team has, could someone get 4 hat tricks in 1 year? You have a number of guys that could get hat tricks, right? You know, your mainstays could get them. But could the Mikko Rantanens, Nathan McKinnons, who else really? You can't see a defenseman in Cale Makar, even though he scores in bunches, getting 4 hat tricks in a game. That would be unthinkable. I don't know. What do you think?
That's what I want out of this team this year. I want Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen just to compete against each other all year long. Where Mikko has a hat trick one night, then Nathan McKinnon follows it up the next night, and they compete with each other all year long. That would be possible for
tough one.
If Mikko's going for the goals, he's got to rack them up in hat tricks as well. You know what? I say, why not? I think he could get 4 games. That's 82 games in a regular season. He could get 4 games with a hat trick.
Well, I mean, the thing here is, you know, staying healthy, and if you can get rolling on the power play.
That wasn't Mikko's problem last year. He stayed
healthy.
No.
I'm just saying overall, with not just talking Mikko specifically, just
that's true.
Going after the record, which in a sense you're talking about Mikko and Nate. Let's get real here. He's staying healthy and getting going on the power play. I don't want to say they're like free throws, but you have the added advantage. So if you can just, you know, soak up some goals on a power play, you have an outside shot at this. I think you could at least get on the 3 list again for both of these guys. So,
and Jonathan Drouin will get 1.
He'll get 1. He'll be on there.
Why not?
All right, mark it down. Mark it down right now. Let's switch over to the goalie side, and for wins, Semyon Varlamov in the 2013-2014 season had 41. Right behind him, in his 1 year so far with the Avs, Georgiev had 40, which is tied for second with Patrick Waugh. So this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, he was there last year, fully healthy team. I don't think he's going to be near that because I don't think he's going to get the playing time. Now, he'll get the playing time. Let me say that. I don't think he's going to be on the bench or anything like that. It's just going to be, he's going to get spelled a lot more if they have a healthy backup. Or do they just ride? If he's got a hot hand, you keep riding him.
It's not out of the realm of possibility to get 41 for Georgiev, especially. I know the Frankie, my love for Frankie and everything, but I mean, if it's more the same with Francouz, and you have to run Georgiev out there at least 80% of the starts, is that 41's not out of the realm of possibility as well. And I mean, he had 40 last year in a kind of an effortless season. Really, he got comfortable. He really didn't have to struggle. So
I don't know. I wouldn't call it effortless just because the team was so decimated in front of him.
it's true, but he had those games where he had incredible saves, but it wasn't one of those that the team was so decimated you're just fully relying on Georgiev to win you the game. And so I think, and the team's improved around him. So
sure, that's why I think the team has improved around him. And if they're going to have their method on how many games in a row he's going to play before he gets spelled, and if it's like the Avalanche want to do, he's just not going to have the opportunity to surpass that because he'll get spelled. He'll get a break more, than he would have gotten last year. And that's the only reason I think that it won't happen. But he was close last year. He was close. He'll forever be number 2.
There's still back-to-backs on the schedule too.
So. That's true. Yeah. And the last one I want to get to is total points in a game. And I remember bringing this up last year. Peter Stastny and Anton Stastny both have 8 points in a game, and they both did it in the same game. It was February 22nd, 1981 at Washington. They both scored 8 points in a game. Can one Avalanche player tie it? You don't even hear 8 points a lot from anybody. You're definitely going to hear 9. Man, and I went down and for, let's see, Gabe Landeskog and Nathan MacKinnon were the next on this list. That 32 and 33, the closest of the current players. And obviously we know Gabe Landeskog isn't playing, but Nathan MacKinnon's high is 5. He's never had more than 5 in a game.
I think this, out of all of the records we talked about, I think this one is the untouchable.
It's pretty safe. Yeah.
8 points in a game is just, it's video game numbers.
Yeah.
I don't think twice in one game on February 22nd, Deuce is wild. So
yeah, right.
I don't see it happening.
That was 5 days before I was born, sir. 5 days before I was born. Yeah.
That's the hockey gods blessing you into this world.
I mean, you get a freak game where the opposing goalie is just horrible. Like I always think of that one game that they played against Nashville where they scored 7 goals in the second period, right?
I still dream about that game.
That's a great game. They just took off in the second. You get a game like that, and maybe you'll get 6. Maybe you'll get, because you pull up at the end. You're so far ahead. You're short shifting. You're not really out there anymore to score a goal. You get that many points in a game. The other team's got to be matching you goal for goal for this to happen. So if you go on this run where you get up 7-1, ain't happening. If it's, what was that game last year? It was between Seattle and Los Angeles, where it was like 8-8 in the second or something. Like it was a crazy game. Like that's what needs to happen. Because then you're out there, your normal shifts, and nobody can stop anything. And you just don't see that happening in this day and age of hockey. So I think you're right. I think it's pretty safe.
Yeah, and you're going to be resting your guys too if you're up that much, especially the Avalanche. You're not putting them out there.
No. You're quick shifts, 20, 30-second shifts, and you're out, and that's it. So what do you think? Fire away in the comment section. Any of these going to get broken? All of them safe? Who's got a shot at least, possibility of they approach these numbers? Let's hear it in the comment section. Next thing we want to get to are these polls that we did over here at Locked On. There's a handful of them. We're going to do 2 like every episode, with the exception of the Friday when we do the crossover, or maybe we do it for that too. That might be fun. Who knows? We'll get it. We get through them all, but we're going to start with the best goalie and the best D-men in the league. Why don't we start with the goalies? We'll start with goalies. So there's your top 5. That's the only thing that we made in the graphic was the top 5. And you have Vasilevsky at number 1, Shesterkin at number 2, Hellebuck at number 3. I think that's the top 3. And you can interchange. Maybe you can't interchange Hellebuck any more than 3. if you want to argue Shesterkin should be number 1 and Vasilevsky number 2, okay. UC Saros came in at number 4. Okay. And Sorokin came in at number 5. So, with the Avalanche and Georgiev, I have the results for where he was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He was 8. So you had Ullmark at 6, Ottinger at 7, and then there's Georgiev at 8. Is that fair?
I would have easily put Hellebuck at 2.
Yeah. It's so tough for me to put him above Shesterkin or Vasilevsky.
And I would have swapped Ullmark and Sorokin. I do believe in Soros.
I believe in Soros, but I don't think he's a top 5 goalie right now. He's a great goalie. But I would have removed him altogether from the top 5 and put Ullmark in at 4. I put Ullmark at 4 and leave Sorokin right where he's at.
I think Ullmark was the big snub out of the 5, but I would have put Hellebuck a little bit higher up.
Yeah. Carter Hart rounds out the he was 12th on the he was 14th on this list. So isn't that your boy, Carter Hart?
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
We don't talk.
So yeah. So that's the top 5 for goalies with Georgiev at 8. I'm okay with that. Like I said, maybe he could switch with Ottinger. I thought Ottinger had a down year last year. But I maybe would put him up at 7. But I think it'd be tougher for him to get a little bit higher than that as things stand right now. He has another good year. Maybe he goes up a few more.
That's it exactly. He needs another year on the resume because everybody got fooled by the Darcy Kemper 1 year in Colorado, and sorry about that, Washington. So yeah.
Although Kemper started the year last year very good. I think he had he had 5 shutouts on the season, and I feel like all of those shutouts came before the new year. Probably wrong on that. Maybe 1 or 2 of them came after, but he started the year great and then just kind of fell off.
His equipment was still falling apart.
It's getting sticks in the eye again. Switching over to the defensemen, no surprise there. Cale Makar at number 1, Erik Karlsson at number 2, Adam Fox at number 3, Miro Heiskanen at number 4, and Roman Josi at number 5. I mean, everybody's singing the praise of Cale Makar right now. I get it, and it's understood, and it's warranted. The guy's done everything. So this was runaway. Like nobody was even close to number 1 than Cale Makar. Only one other guy got a first place vote. I'm not even going to bring it up because you'll laugh your butts off. But it just goes to show you that even hosts from other team are understanding like the excellence of this guy.
Yep, it's Cale Makar all day long. I would have put Adam Fox at number 2.
I would have easily. Adam Fox is a great defenseman, and he deserves to be number 2. I think the Karlsson thing is more like recency bias.
I would have put him at 4 and put Heiskanen at 3rd.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with D-men is the league is loaded with some really good defensemen. To me, it's first of all, it's amazing to see like Victor Hedman. He's still a very good defenseman, but 3 years ago, it was Victor Hedman and like nobody else.
Yeah,
he was it. He was the best defenseman in the league, hands down, and he's still a top 10 defenseman easily. He came in at number 6 here, but to me, I would have put Rasmus Dahlin up in here.
That's true. That's very true.
I just think he might need another year for people to really understand how good he is, but. Maybe it's just a little bit too early for people to throw him into the top 5, but he's on his way there without a doubt.
And I think the thing with Karlsson, it's a name everybody knows. It's kind of like a resurgence of sorts, but don't get confused with good offensive numbers and a good defenseman. They are not one and the same. Yeah.
And Toews, I know a lot of people are wondering where he was. He was way down on this list. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to keep counting here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He was 15th on this list. That is a travesty, if you ask me.
That's exactly
is a top 10 defenseman in this league.
That's exactly where we want him to be, because that means he's doing his job. Nobody's paying attention to him, but he is. We just talked about him. He was being in top 10 of all time, like Avalanche records with like his. I think that was a plus minus twice.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So if he's that under the radar, he's doing exactly
I think
what he needs to do.
It's just because he plays with Cale Makar, who's like the human highlight reel, and Toews just goes about his business. And he's not like that. He's not a highlight reel guy. But 15 is kind of laughable, if you ask me, where he is. The NHL Network did their own top defenseman. And I got a kick out of it. So number one was Cale Makar. Again, I think on almost any list that you bring up, Cale Makar is going to be number one. So they posted it to Twitter, and the comment section was absolutely hysterical for some comments. And I know this is troll feeding, but some of them I got to bring. I'm not going to say what their user tag. If you want to go to Twitter and look these up, feel free to comment on some of these ones. I didn't bother. But you have some guys. One guy just said McAvoy beta. And he's typing out in Boston accent on Twitter, which I'm impressed
really
with.
Hiding your fandom there, bud.
Yeah. So he said McAvoy's beta. And then you just get laughing emojis on response to that. One guy put up, he said, look at who Cale finished behind this year in the Norris voting. And he put at Foxy Clean, which I guess is that his Twitter? Yeah, that's Adam Fox's Twitter handle is Foxy Clean for some reason. I don't know. I didn't know that. He's making an argument that Adam Fox is the best defenseman in the league, and his argument is look at the Norris voting. Well, by that logic, Adam Fox isn't the best defenseman in the league because Erik Karlsson won the Norris. So your point is just ridiculous. But you can't go off of that. You can't go off of who won the award last year because there's so many other factors into it. If that's your only metric, then Erik Karlsson's the best defenseman in the league. But this guy couldn't even get that right, which I found hilarious.
I'm telling you, when it comes to Cale Makar, you're looking at stats, but you just really need to just watch game tape on the guy.
Yeah.
The things he does at defense and like his hockey IQ and how he could just stand up guys.
Yeah.
It's changing the position.
You have this one guy who says, is he really though? Call me biased, but I'll take Quinn Hughes. And you tap on his profile. He's a fan of the Canucks. I'll call you biased then. It's pretty simple.
Ooh.
I mean,
you know what? It's been a while since I heard that debate.
Come on. Right? Remember that in the rookie year? Oh. Like it was like, who's going to get the call there, Quinn or Makar? And it wasn't even close. It was Cale Makar. And since then, Makar has just left Quinn Hughes in the dust. Quinn Hughes is a good defenseman. Is he a great defenseman? No. He's a very, very good defenseman, and he's probably top 15 in the league. I'll give you that. But he's nowhere near the best defenseman in the league. Stop with this. Stop it. This one guy said, no, he isn't. Rasmus Dahlin is. And Owen Power isn't far behind either. Who do you think he's a fan of? This is just, I love that. And you know what, man? Like a lot of people are saying, like, well, you're saying Cale Makar is, but we're not saying Nathan McKinnon is the best center in the league.
No,
we acknowledge that he's probably 2 or 3, and because we know who number 1 is. So we're not sitting here just tooting the horn of all these Avalanche players, especially Cale Makar. Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the league. Full stop. And if you want to have a discussion about other guys that could be up there in a conversation, we can have that. But when you're saying Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power isn't far behind, you're watching one team, and that's it.
Yeah.
Your reaction to that was hilarious, by the way.
The Owen Power, I want that as a pillowcase, and I want to sleep on that pillow. I want to see that tweet every night before I go to sleep. Owen Power behind, like, come on.
Yeah. No. And there was one other one. There's maybe a couple other ones. Where's this one? Where'd it go?
I could tell you right now, you ask any of the other 31 fan bases what you would do for Cale Makar, and I bet you would offer up a Rasmus Dahlin and an Owen Power.
One guy just said overrated. Sure.
You're right.
I can't find. Oh, there's one guy went on. Oh, he goes, yeah, here it is. Let's be real. The dude doesn't even play defense. If you're talking about actual defensive capabilities, there's only one man at number one, and his name is Miro Heiskanen. And who do you think that guy's a fan of?
Dun, dun.
Stars. Exactly.
Go, dun, dun, stars.
And Miro Heiskanen is
very good.
Fantastic. He's fantastic.
Very, very good.
But if you are minimizing the defensive abilities of Cale Makar, again, and that shocks me coming from a Dallas fan, because you watch him. He's in your division. You're not watching him. You're when you're playing highlights. The Avalanche, you're either watching highlights, or when you're playing the Avalanche, you're not paying attention to them. You're just watching what your team is doing.
Yep.
Cale Makar is from top to bottom what you want in a defenseman. His offensive abilities are off the charts, and his defense is incredible. Just go watch that play over and over and over again against Connor McDavid when he timed that knocking that puck away perfectly. Nobody else in the league could do that. And if you did, you just got lucky. That wasn't luck on what Cale Makar did. That was skill. And to say he doesn't play defense, you're just making a joke of yourself when you say something like that.
And anybody who says Cale Makar doesn't play defense is strictly watching highlights, and you don't see Cale Makar get burned on defense to be in a highlight for the opposing team. So that makes sense.
Amazing. It's fun to kind of go down Twitter troll lane, but for that one, I didn't bother to get involved in any of them because they were just going to go down the road I didn't want to go. So
he's a cover athlete, for goodness sake.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. We will be back tomorrow. We'll have 2 more of these polls that we did. We did some fun ones too with like mascots and logos too. Maybe we'll do those ones tomorrow. So we'll see. But that's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.